Ada of Delta, the bridge between human and gods. In the quiet village of Omi, nestled deep within the green embrace of the Niger Delta, lived a young woman named Ada. Her days were painted with the rhythms of the land. Early morning trips to the river, with her calabash balanced gracefully on her head, the soft hum of folk songs drifting from her lips, and evenings spent under the ancient Iroko tree, listening to the elders speak of spirits, ancestors, and the wisdom of the earth. Ada was not like the other young women in Omi. She moved with a curiosity that made her eyes shimmer like the river at dawn. She asked questions about the tides, the stars, the way the mangroves whispered secrets when the wind passed through. Some said she was touched by the old gods, others simply called her different. But Ada listened closely to everything, to the chatter of the birds, the creak of the canoes, and the silence between thunderclaps. One day, as the village prepared for the Yam festival, a time of gratitude and renewal, Ada wandered farther than usual into the forest. Drawn by a strange rhythmic pulse in the earth, she found herself standing before a place she had only heard of in hushed tales. The Obu Nam, the Mother's Grove. It was said that no one entered and returned the same. As the sun filtered through the canopy in golden shafts, Ada stepped into the grove, her heart beating a steady drum of wonder and fear. What she found there would change not only her life, but the fate of Omi itself. The air inside the Obu Nam was thick, almost sacred. It carried the scent of wild ginger, damp earth, and something older, deeper. Ada stepped lightly, her feet guided more by instinct than sight. The trees here stood taller than any she'd known. Their roots, like the arms of sleeping giants, curled around buried memories. At the center of the grove stood a stone smooth, dark and pulsing with a soft inner light. Symbols danced faintly across its surface, glowing with an energy that felt familiar, like a lullaby sung long ago. Ada approached, her fingers outstretched, when a voice not loud but firm spoke from behind her. "You are not meant to be here, yet." She turned, heart thudding, to see an old woman cloaked in indigo, her eyes milky with age but bright with knowing. "I am Ezi Nen," the woman said, "keeper of what your people have forgotten. You have been called, Ada, but the calling comes with a choice." Ada said nothing. She only listened. The land is changing. Oil flows beneath the roots like poison in a river vein. The spirits grow restless. The balance we once held is breaking. But in you the earth stirs again. The stone behind Ada began to hum louder, echoing with her heartbeat. Azine stepped forward and placed a small carved amulet. Into Ada's hand an image of a woman, with water flowing from her eyes. "This is Igioma, the river mother. Her tears once brought life to the delta. She sleeps now. But you, child of Omi, can wake her, if you choose to." The wind picked up, swirling the leaves into a circle around them. Azine's form flickered like a candle before vanishing, leaving Ada alone except for the amulet, the stone, and a sense that nothing would ever be the same again. That night Ada returned to Omi in a trance, the amulet clutched tightly in her palm. The village was alive with the laughter and drums of the Yam festival, but everything sounded distant, like echoes underwater. The grove's memory still pulsed in her veins. She did not speak of the Obu Nem. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. The river, which had thinned and muddied from upstream oil activity, began to run clearer wherever Ada walked along its banks. Fish once sparse returned in schools, glittering like silver threads. Children who fell ill were brought to her, and with nothing more than her hands and a whisper in a language she didn't know she knew, they healed. Word spread. Some called her Onunu Mmiri, spirit woman. Others whispered that the gods had sent a daughter of water to save. Omi? But Ada still felt like a girl only beginning to understand a language written in tides and dreams. One night, as she slept beneath the Iroko tree, the amulet on her chest began to glow. She dreamt of Ijeoma, the river goddess, her face carved from rain and moonlight. Her voice flowed like water over stone. My daughter, you carry more than my name. You carry my voice, my grief, and my fire. The gods sleep because the land forgets, but you will wake them. Ada's eyes snapped open, and the ground beneath her shook gently. From the trees, spirits emerged, not malevolent, but watching. Old gods in forgotten forms, the horned figure of Ikenga, the serpent of the deep Ik-Jesso, the weaver goddess Nika with her shimmering hair of stars. Each one spoke a fragment. Balance, blood, binding, bone. She realized then this was not only about awakening the gods. It was about restoring what had been broken, the pact between land and people, spirit and soil. The next day, Ada climbed to the sacred hill above Omi, her voice lifted in a song that came from the marrow of the world, carried across the delta. As she sang, the earth stirred. Rain fell gently, and in far-off shrines long abandoned, idols cracked open, their eyes glowing anew. The gods were listening. But with their awakening came another force darker, older, buried beneath oil rigs and greed. For not all that slumbers does so in peace. As the gods began to stir from their long slumber, something else awoke, not a god, but a thing that fed on their forgetting. It had no true name. The elders once called it Onunu Mmiri, the choke of waters, a spirit not born of the land, but of its desecration. It thrived in the oil-choked swamps, in the smoke that curled from flares, in the silence of trees felled for pipelines. It had grown fat while the gods slept. And now, threatened by Ada's awakening song, it moved. It first showed itself in the dreams of the people, slick black figures with empty eyes. Then came the sickness in the mangroves, leaves curling inwards, birds falling from the sky, water thickening again with a dark sludge. The spirits whispered to Ada that the balance had not only been broken, but twisted. Ada knew she could not fight Onunu Mmiri alone. She returned to the grove of Obu Nem, where the gods awaited, not fully returned, but watching through symbols and shadows. There she performed the rite of emergence, a ritual lost to time, taught to her in fragments through dreams and chants. Kneeling in the sacred pool, she drank from the water, no longer mere river water, but something deeper. It carved her from within. Her skin glowed with river light. Her voice echoed with the thunder of ancient storms. From Ikenga she received strength of will and the warrior's spirit. From Nika, the weaver goddess, she was gifted sight across time and fate. From Ik Neso, the sacred serpent, she bore the power of transformation and binding. But the most dangerous gift came from Ijeoma herself, the tear of the river, a single drop of divine water that could bind or banish any spirit, but at a cost. The confrontation. Onunu Mmiri came not as a beast, but a presence like oil across skin, like breath caught in the throat. It wore the faces of fallen gods and corrupted nature. It spoke to Ada in a voice of poisoned honey. You sang for the gods, but who sang for you when the rivers died, when your brothers choked on oil? Ada stood her ground on the bank of the Nyaba River, where the final battle would be fought. She didn't answer with words. She raised her hands, and the water behind her rose, not just water, but memory, spirit, ancestors, the drowned, the forgotten. The river mothers and warrior kings of Omi rose with her. The battle was not just of strength, but of will, memory, and truth. Onunu Mmiri tried to drown her in visions of despair, but Ada, holding the tear of the river, reached deep into her soul and cast it into the heart of a scream, not of pain, but of unraveling tore through the air as the tear struck. The tear of the river was no weapon of destruction, but of reckoning. It forced truth upon whatever it touched. Onunu Mmiri, once born from the rot and silence of the people's forgetting, now faced the full weight of what had been lost. Every poisoned fish, every silenced drum, every drowned child, every god turned to stone in abandoned shrines. It screamed again, not in rage, but in fear. Its form writhed and cracked like a shell forced open. From its depths emerged broken idols and rusted machines, bones tangled in oil-slick vines. Ada did not flinch. You were made from what we refused to face, she said, her voice rippling with storm and sorrow. But I remember now, and I refuse to forget again. With a final cry, she raised her hand and called the gods by their true names, names that had not been spoken in generations. The winds howled, the river rose, and with a surge like the breath of the delta itself, Onunu Mmiri was pulled down into the depths, not destroyed, but bound wrapped in memory, sealed beneath the sacred pool in Obu Nem, where forgetting could never reach again. After the battle, the skies cleared for the first time in weeks. Rain fell, but it was soft blessing, not flood. Birds returned to the branches. The river ran bright and loud, as if singing. Ada stood alone on the bank, her body marked with glowing runes that pulsed like heartbeats. She had not only awakened the gods, she had become their bridge. The elders gathered before her, kneeling not in worship, but in understanding. You carry the spirits now, one said. You are the keeper of the balance. But Ada shook her head. I carry only what we must all carry, memory, reverence, and courage. In the months that followed, Omi changed. Shrines once left in ruin were rebuilt. Children were taught the old names again. Festivals were no longer just for show, but offerings in rhythm with the land. And when oil men returned with maps and money, they found a village not afraid, but prepared with Ada standing tall, her voice backed by thunder and tide. The gods did not sleep again. They watched through Ada's eyes, walked in the river's flow, and whispered through the leaves. And in the sacred grove, deep within the Niger Delta, the stone still pulsed with memory, power, and a promise. The land remembers, the gods endure, and Ada still walks among them. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.